on a beautiful Thursday afternoon. Okay, well, thank you for being here. Now, today's votes cap a week of something the American people haven't seen enough of in the past 2 years. Both parties in the United States Congress standing up to Donald Trump. In 2 days, Congress has delivered three major rebukes to the president and stood up for transparency, accountability, and the constitutional powers of our branch of government. Yesterday, the Senate took a crucial vote to forbid the president from continuing any military involvement with the conflict in Yemen. That vote was about the limits of executive power. As we just saw today, 12 Senate Republicans, far more than the bare minimum, joined Democrats to terminate the president's emergency declaration. That vote was also about the limits of executive power, and I thank my friend Joaquin Castro, who was in the Senate gallery, for shepherding that resolution through the House. And while earlier today, the House amazingly passed a resolution demanding the Department of Justice release to Congress and the public the full findings of the special counsel's investigation into Russia's interference in the 2016 elections. Unfortunately, it was blocked in the Senate by a single Republican. But mark my words, that resolution will be back, and we will try to pass it again. Now, it shouldn't be so unusual for members of the president's own party to stand with us and hold him to account when he does wrong, especially a president who so overreaches. But I'm thankful that Republican senators did the right thing. I applaud them for it. Let's hope that these votes this week are green shoots. Republicans, out of courage, out of principle, and maybe out of exasperation, are beginning to constrain the president when he goes too far. That Republicans are learning that total embrace of President Trump is counterproductive and unsustainable. My hope is that this past week isn't an aberration, but a turning point. My hope is that Republicans now see how this president is trampling on the Constitution and understand that it is possible, in fact courageous, to stand up to him and say that there will be consequences for his actions. The president seems to regard the government, not just the Justice Department, as a tool to serve his personal and political interests. We've had a lot of presidents with plenty of foibles, but none of them seems to equate their own ego with the entire functioning of the government of the United States, except this one. Today, the Senate has sent a strong message to President Trump that under our Constitution, the executive branch and the legislative branch are co-equal. Thanks to the framers of the Constitution, the United States of America has no king, and we never will. We can't succumb to the president's monarchical leanings. It's our job in Congress to limit executive overreach, to defend our core powers, to prevent a president, any president, from ignoring the will of the Congress every time it fails to align with the will of the president. That is what separations of powers means. That's what checks and balances are for. All too often in the past 2 years, these principles have been disregarded. Too many of my Republican colleagues, in blind obeisance to this president, have indulged even his worst impulses. But today's vote gives me hope. Perhaps my Republican colleagues are beginning to rise to the occasion, like they did in previous decades and centuries. I'll be closing by saying that I applaud every member of the Senate Democratic Caucus for sticking together. I've always said that our unity is our biggest strength, and despite being in the minority, by sticking together, we are able to hold the president accountable. Ready for your questions.
Senate Republicans have tried to play down that this is a rift, saying that these aren't independent votes. What evidence on what issues will you need to see to know if this is a sign of...
Well, we'll have to see what comes up in the future. First thing they could do is follow their House colleagues and let the resolution that says Mueller report should be made public through. I mean, when Devin Nunes, Jim Jordan, and so many others vote yes, for the Senate Republicans to block it is just confounding. Where are they coming from? Do they really believe the report shouldn't be made public? Are they really going to participate in a cover-up? Come on.
Now that the Lee bill is not being used to siphon support for this emergency declaration, is that something the Democrats would consider supporting when it comes out of committee?
Well, look, I mean, you know, I'd have to look at the careful wording of the Lee bill, but for any Republican who says, well, it's okay for him to do it this time, now let's look at next time, it's at cross purposes. If it's wrong, it's wrong for this president and for any other.
Since this is a privileged resolution, felt like a revolution.
Yes, it was. You said it right the first time.
Is it going to come up again? How soon?
Well, you know, the president will first veto it. It goes to the House. He won't have the 2/3. But I believe the law allows us to bring it up every 6 months, and certainly we would intend to do that.
But what's the point? I mean, if the president's going to move forward anyway, other than
The point of defending the checks and balances that the founding fathers put so exquisitely into our government, we got to defend it 10 times, even if they knock it down, in hopes of winning the 11th.
Senator McConnell's going to force a vote on the Green New Deal. Are you confident that your caucus is going to be unified?
Yeah, we are totally unified. Everyone knows that this bill is a sham, and we are going to ask our Republican colleagues to answer 3 simple questions. Thus far, they've refused to answer them. 1, is climate change real? 2, is it caused by human activity? And 3, should Congress do something about it? The fact that they're afraid to answer those 3 simple questions with no prescription as to what to do puts them on defense. And that's where we have them, and that's where we're going to keep them.
Senator, on the unobligated funds that are being used to build the wall, what are Democrats' plans for first identifying the projects that are being impacted?
Well, I'm not sure the president can do it, and I think there'll be court challenges. First, you have to find out who has standing to oppose the removal of those funds. And second, yeah, we intend to use every means we can to not allow the president to shift money around when he's not allowed to. Now, he has shown so little respect for the fences and laws and rules that we've had in this country that we got to be real careful, and whether it's legislatively or in court, fight him every step of the way. Okay? Thank you, everybody. Have a nice day. Yes, have a nice week and a half.